Hi friends, today I am going to tell you a story written by Roald Dahl. The name of the story is George's Marvellous Medicine. Okay, now let's begin with the story. In this story, George crosses over many magics. The characters in the story are George, George's father, George's mother, and his granny. The story begins here. Once upon a time, there lived a boy named George. George was 8 years old. One day, George was left alone in his house with his granny as his parents went out. Before going, his mother reminded him one important thing, that is to give granny her medicines at the correct time. After his parents had left, George thought of going to see his granny, who was really wicked. Granny asked George for a cup of tea. George replies, "Granny, it's not time yet for your tea." Granny gets angry and raises her voice. Now, George is scared and he gives the tea to her. She screams at George. Now, George brings her a cup of coffee. The coffee, she started to talk in her wicked voice about all the bugs and worms. She was telling bugs and worms are so yummy. George hated it. He ran into the kitchen and shut the door. He was so angry at this wicked woman and he thought, why should I give this woman the medicine? It is not even curing her even a bit. He thought of making his own medicine and giving it to her. Now George starts to prepare his medicine. At first, he collects a lot of things from the kitchen and puts it inside. And he took the things from the kitchen, bathroom, his mother's dressing table, car gauge, and then added it to a big sausage pan. Now, when George had added all the things to a big sausage pan, he noticed that Grandma's original medicine was really brown in color, but his was not brown at all. And when he mixed it, all the pills were not mixing at all. So he decided to add some brown paint and to make it look brown, and went back to the kitchen to boil it. He boiled the medicine and there was a very strong smell coming out of it. Now the wicked woman screams, "Is it time for my medicine yet?" she asks. George says, "No, there is still half an hour." And then he continues his work. George takes out the original medicine of Granny, pours it out and adds his own medicine into the bottle. Now George gave the medicine to Granny. After drinking it, Granny jumps out of her chair. The interesting part begins here. His grandma becomes so fat and then she pops out and becomes so tall. She starts to grow so fast. She grew so fast and soon touched the roof of the house. Her head was poking out of the roof, and that was the time when George's parents arrived. Now his grandma is really furious. "What medicine did you give me?" she cried. George told, "I gave you my own medicine." Grandma cried. "What? Your own medicine?" she asked. George replied, yes. George shows her the impact of the medicine by testing a chicken walking on the rooftop. He gave the chicken a small amount of medicine and it starts to grow so fat, then so tall. And his father notices it. He runs up to the rooftop and cries, "What have you done?" And he tells, "I made my own medicine and look what happened." Now George's father was so amused and he called him down. He asked him to test it on all the farm animals. Then all the farm animals began to grow so big, and the wicked lady who's seeing everything from the rooftop was so angry. "When will you even get me out of this? I'm feeling so uncomfortable." So now George's father, Mr. Cankins, calls a big crane and the crane pulls her out. As soon as she was out, she runs to the pony, which is now so big, and rides on it. The next day, George wakes up and his father calls him. When he comes out of his bed, his father asks him to tell him the same thing what he did for the marvelous medicine he made. His father insisted he can sell the medicine in the market and get a good amount out of it. But George said he didn't remember the formula. The father encourages him to think, but George couldn't remember. Then he tells, "Oh, I remember." And he went to the kitchen. There he showed some empty boxes to his father. Now the father finds out the things he had used is all finished, so you can keep track of it. Now his father writes down the things which all are empty in the house, and George and his father rush to the market to get all those things. They prepared George's marvelous medicine number 2, but when they tried on a chicken, nothing happened, but its leg grew tall and tall. His father said no one would like to eat a chicken's leg, so he told, "I think you have missed something. Let's make it again." And once they are finished with the George's marvelous medicine number 3, they again test it. But now only the neck of the chicken is growing. His father says again, "No one would like to eat or buy a neck of a chicken." So he tells, "Let's try it out another last time." Now the last time they do George's marvelous medicine number 4. When they thought of testing it to a chicken, mistakenly Grandma drank it all up because she thought that it was her tea. After drinking that, she became smaller and smaller to a size of a matchstick, then an ant, and she disappears soon. They can't find her. Cranky cried for her mother. She searched her everywhere. Now, Mr. Frankie tells, "This is a good solution, George. Finally, you made that wicked woman go out of our house." Now, George laughs, and here ends the story. Okay, friends, end of video. Bye-bye. See you in the next video. Happy learning.